Hi everyone, it's Liam here from Rating the Races. So we're going to do a look back on some of the racing on the 29th and 30th of December, just before New Year. A few races that were interesting or horses that caught my eye. And we'll start off looking at the maiden hurdle at Leopardstown, won impressively by Ballyburn. And to be honest, this is kind of how you really see top class horses. So I think those in England that get there, winning 2 lengths, having potentially been ridden very quietly, it doesn't give them as much of a race as like Ballyburn had here. Now, Ballyburn was clearly asked to go and finish the race and win the race, go away at the finish and learn how to win impressively. Whereas the likes of Jericho de Repenay, for example, who's been winning, nudged out late on just to get up by a few lengths. I don't think that... I actually think come Cheltenham, that's why we see the Irish dominating, because their horses are... they know how to go all the way to the finish, whereas the English horses, come Cheltenham, they take on a better rival. The better rival is getting them off the bridle, and then they're like, well, I don't know what to do anymore because I haven't learnt that. Whereas at least like Ballyburn and Firefox, for example, they've been asked to go and win the race and go away and win as far as possible. And I kind of feel that that's what helps the Irish horses over the English horses come Cheltenham Festival. Very impressive performance from Ballyburn. You couldn't knock it, really. I know the R figures were poor, but he's beaten them by the distance you would expect for a horse that's beaten them by a distance you would expect based on the R figures. So, as I said, the likes of Jericho de Repenay, he's only just beating horses of a similar calibre to what Ballyburn has absolutely annihilated here. Obviously, Ballyburn's probably not going to end up in the Supreme Novice anyway, because this is over 2.5, but I'm trying to make a point about the R figures and how you can tell when a race was actually, it was more than winnable anyway. So let's move on to the 110 at Leopardstown, where Jatara, our top-rated horse, won the Grade 3 Mares Hurdle. And to be honest, I think it's a good race, and I think it will work out quite well. Now, the reason I say that is Willie Mullins sent Risk Bell, and he'd actually won this race 6 of the last 7 times. And you can see he ran 4 in the race, and he still couldn't win it. He got beat by Jatara, who's clearly improving. She's clearly getting better. And yeah, I just feel that maybe this 2.5 trip, I thought it was a very, very good effort from Jatara. The others were close enough, so I know it helped to be on the front. But turning in, Riskbell was right behind and wasn't able to, didn't actually quicken like Jatara did. Jatara went away from Riskbell. It's not that they stayed the same distance apart, and just being at the front helped. So I actually think this is a good run, and I think Jatara will certainly hold her own now in Grade 1s. Mares Grade 1s over the 2.5 mile trip. The 145, Grange Clare West beat Corbett's Cross again. Corbett's Cross had obviously finished 3rd in a beginner's chase behind Grange Clare West when Grange Clare West won. Had come out and won, franked the form. To be honest, I think this was the right result. The best horse won the race. The second best horse was second. The third best horse was third. But I do think Flooring Porter's probably run his race as well. I think he's probably run right up to Grade 1 company, and Corbett's Cross and Grange Clare West have just proven to be even better than that. Does Grange Clare West get a bit further? If Grange Clare West gets 3 mile 5, you can imagine that might end up in that 3 mile 5 race at the Cheltenham Festival and go off a really short price favourite for Willie Mullins. I'm just having a quick look to see see if they've got any odds for that one. If it does run, Grange Clare West is currently 11-1 for that, or as short as 4s if William Hill was suggesting that Grange Clare West might run, gone 4-1. And yeah, I can understand why. I think if Willie does decide to run Grange Clare West and it does get the trip, it will take all of the beating in that race. Let's just have a quick look what it is also for the 3 mile, 7-2, 4-1 for the 3 miler. The fact that Corbett's Cross is the full favourite at 12s, there's no reason for Grange Clare West to run away, is there? Factor File is also in there. Stay away Fay, obviously, for Paul Nicholls. So Grange Clare West, I think they'll run him in the Brown Advisory. They don't need to look for that 3.5 mile, 3 mile 5 race at all. And I thought it was a very, very good performance. There's no knocking that form at all, to be honest. Move on to the 220. I think this demonstrated one thing. Constitution Hill wins the Champion Hurdle. Impere Pass couldn't get past State Man. To be honest, I actually think State Man is right up there. I think if you ran State Man against the likes of... I think he'd beat Bouvoudet, a Champion Hurdle winner. Trying to think of some of the other Champion Hurdle winners. Would definitely beat the likes of Catch It. Would be probably above Sublimity for me. Might just be below Hurricane Fly level State Man at the moment. But I think he's not getting the credit he deserves, because every time he runs against, or the time he ran against Constitution Hill, he was beaten out of sight. Well, he wasn't beaten out of sight, but he was beaten comfortably. That's because Constitution Hill was the best horse I've ever seen. I really believe that. I think he is the best horse over 2 mile that I've ever seen. And State Man just, unfortunately, will keep running into him at the Cheltenham Festival. Impere Pass isn't as good as State Man. And I think Constitution Hill will win that Champion Hurdle quite comfortably now. There's, I can't be knocking that form at all. The 325 at Cheltenham was... the 325 at Leopardstown was a bumper. And Jalon Duderi beat Redemption Day. And to be honest, I thought Redemption Day travelled really well here. Maybe just needed that. Hadn't run for 611 days. Maybe just needed it. I thought it was a very good effort. Be interesting to see if they go over hurdles now with Redemption Day, or whether they have one more season now over hurdles, on the flat, in bumpers, and turn up to the Cheltenham Festival. Again, he obviously did finish... Where did he finish at Cheltenham? Did he disappoint at Cheltenham? He did. But then bounced back at Punchestown in a bumper. It was a very good performance from Jalon Duderi, don't get me wrong. The horse will definitely want further, though, in time. And you may find that come Cheltenham, there may be something a little bit quicker than Jalon Duderi. Moving on to the 1240 at Newbury, the race won by Jericho de Repinay. Now, have a look at the R figures. I mean, Paradies, who has got some good form on the flat, but these are moderate runs over hurdles, or that was a moderate run over hurdles. That was a moderate run over hurdles for Secret Squirrel. Despite being 3 from 3, it wasn't the best hurdle race at Kempton. And Jericho de Repinay, again, hadn't run a huge figure at Newbury, and again, won't have probably run a huge figure at Newbury to beat these. This was a very moderate introductory hurdle. It didn't take a lot of winning. I don't think Jericho de Repinay should be favourite at all still. Caldwell Potter in Ireland ran a much better performance than Jericho de Repinay for me. If we actually look at the 210 at Taunton, a mare's novice hurdle, look at the R figures here. 5th, Obsessed with You, had ran a 130.6. We go back to the 1240. None of these had run that. So I know it was a mare's hurdle, so obviously Jericho de Repinay couldn't have run in it. But Queen's Gamble, Casanomente, Jaminska, Larchmont Lass, probably, Obsessed with You, would have all given Jericho de Repinay something to think about. This approach of taking on nothing and not winning by far doesn't teach them very much at all. I know they think it's teaching them through because he's passing horses. He's not winning far enough. He's not winning comfortably enough. I would not have him the favourite. I think he's favourite based on trainer, owner, how much they paid for him. We'll move on to the 3 o'clock at Newbury, the Challow Hurdle, and great to see Captain Teague win this. Did you know that's 9 consecutive top-rated winners of the Challow Hurdle? And yet it wasn't favourite in the morning, was it? Who was favourite in the morning? Wilmount was favourite. Wilmount drifted, pulled up. Wilmount only ran here because they think Jericho de Repinay is really good. They were hoping that Wilmount could win this instead. But Captain Teague beat Look Away, who had some really good form. His second good R figure. I think this was just a very, very good performance. It was over 2.5. I hope they run him in the Ballymore, not the Albert Bartlett. The Albert Bartlett can just finish horses, basically. Captain Teague, he's clearly a chaser of the future. No need to run him over 3 mile over hurdles. Keep him over 2.5 over hurdles, and I think he'll run well. I think he could be like Hermes Hélène, finish 3rd or 4th sort of thing come the Ballymore, and he's a chaser, and you know, could potentially turn into the likes of Brave Man's Game, Hermes Hélène over fences. But yeah, it was a very good performance from Captain Teague. It's 9 consecutive top-rated winners of the Challow Hurdle now. Hopefully next year we can make it 10. And the final one I want to talk about in this video was Walking on Air, who I thought ran a really good race in this novices handicap on his first start. I think it was his first start over fences as well. First start for 247 days. All the others had fitness on their side. Henry's Friend had run just 2 weeks ago. Held off Walking on Air, but he beat Passing Well, Ballycamus, who both had some good form coming into the race. I thought it was a very good performance on his return. There's definitely a race to be found with him. There is a suspicion that he's a bit of a soft finisher, but I think he's still progressing. He's still progressive, and I'd like to think come next time we will see a much better performance from Walking on Air. In a similar race, I think he would win it. It wouldn't surprise me if they go slightly harder in grade. They don't need to go into a graded race, but maybe a Class 2 novice handicap chase. So there's some quick thoughts from the 29th and 30th. Jatara, I think that race will work out well. Grange Clare West, I think that will work out well. I think he is the best 3 miler at the moment. Novice Chaser, State Man has just proven that he's better than Imperia Pass, and Constitution Hill is better than State Man. Is a good bumper, probably needs a bit further, would be worried about that come Cheltenham. Still worried about Jericho de Repine come Cheltenham. I don't think he's beating enough. Good performance from Captain Teague. Next year we will be looking for 10 consecutive Challow Hurdle winners. And finally, Walking on Air, probably the one to take with a view for the future. I think he will improve for that run massively.